Say hello once again to Collen Lemawane. Thanks very much for joining us. I hope you can hear me. As I was saying a bit earlier on, what's it like being home, and is there a lot of excitement ahead of tomorrow?
Well, momentum is picking up pace, Peter. Good afternoon. And we have realized that there's been so much excitement, except that there has been some pockets of resistance, as I mentioned earlier, that some areas were experiencing quite a stormy reaction of members of the community who are not really happy with service delivery. For example, in Kraipan, community members there were up in arms complaining about service delivery. We've had an IEC vehicle being torched, as well as in Tawung also, where 7 members of the community have been arrested, and we hear that they actually were interfering with the work of the IEC. And also in Mahikeng, we heard earlier there was a service delivery protest that started yesterday, where even children were stopped from going to school as they were up in arms, saying that they want to speak to the mayor, who has to make an undertaking about the latest project, which is a road that is about 57 kilometers, and there was about 230 million rand that was allocated, and another 100 million that was allocated and budgeted for, and nothing has happened regarding that. So they were fighting and wanting that to be answered for before the elections. So they are saying that they are not going to vote, and they were stopping other members of the community from voting. But what I can tell you is that fortunately we have the IEC provincial electoral officer, who is Dr. Tumelon Tiba, who's going to tell us about these developments. Dr. Tiba, thank you very much for making time to speak to us. Would you say that this election phase, just at the beginning, has given you a baptism of fire?
Not really, because I've been in this business for more than a decade now. And I am pleased in a sense because out of our 1,733 stations, yesterday only 4 of them were disrupted. As much as the incident in Mahikeng was grave, in that 1 car belonging to our official was burnt, completely destroyed, and another was stoned and also almost completely destroyed. And both those officers were harmed. We are not happy, but that makes up for 0.12% of our stations that were disrupted. The incident that happened last week, where one of our voting stations in Kraipan was torched, we have made an alternative plan for that. We erected a tent across from the school, and yesterday and today the special voting process went smoothly.
Well, what do you make out of these service delivery protests, which are very violent, and also now they are turning their frustrations on the IEC officials?
Unfortunately, it is just the way that it is, that the IEC has to bear the brunt of the anger of some community members. But we continue to encourage our voters to come to stations tomorrow to make sure that we strengthen electoral democracy in this province, and that we continue to protect the country that we love by sustaining our democracy. So in as much as we have those violent incidents of protests, which, as I said, resulted in 2 of our officials being badly harmed, we still believe that the people of the Northwest love and respect their country sufficiently to make sure that tomorrow's event is a successful one.
Right, let's get some political analysis here. Dr. Ushupeng Maseng from the Northwest Province, rather University. Tell us about what you make out of the timing of these protests.
No, it's actually related to social deprivation, where people's expectations from political parties are not actually in line with the actual reality, that political parties throughout elections, they would continue to promise people certain things and they fail to deliver. So eventually this ends up in frustration, and then it ends up in protests as we experience now. And the unfortunate thing is that our people are not actually politically educated in order to separate the roles of Chapter 9 institutions as well as that of the executive, because these frustrations are actually should be directed to the executive but not the IEC. The unfortunate thing is that this is a pure lack of political education on the part of various communities.
Right, there you have it. I've been speaking to Dr. Ushupeng Maseng, who is a political analyst at the Northwest University, as well as the provincial electoral head here at the IEC, who is Dr. Tumelon Tiba. And of course, our reporters have been posted to the 4 cardinal points of the province, who will give us consolidated synopsis of reports as the day progresses. For now, it's back to the studio.
Thanks very, very much indeed. That's Collen Lemawane, who's reporting there from the Northwest Province. Another one of those provinces